A very warm welcome to all of you who are present in our audience today. I'm Devrajan Iyer, and I'll be a host for this session topic coming up timely. Do all institutions need coaching? I'm as excited as you to listen to this much awaited, engaging, and informative conversation of two highly accomplished leaders and pioneers who actually need no introduction. In this section, we are going to be challenging coaching myths like is coaching only for large institutions? Are they only for leadership? We will also explore the new wave of coaching where we move away from large institutions to new institutions and the challenges and the opportunities that we have to make this happen by both the industry and the coaching fraternity. At present, I recommend all of you to turn off all distractions to fully enjoy this great conversation that aligns the wisdom of the past and the present and attempts to show the path ahead for the future. Professor Rao is facing some bit of video issues at this point of time, and we are attempting to have that sorted out. But in the interim, I'll take this opportunity to introduce our panelist. I welcome on board our first panelist, the legend and pioneer, Dr. T.V. Rao, who is currently the chairman of TVRLS. Please join to hear the wisdom on this very important topic. Do all institutions need coaching? A former professor and a board member at IIM Ahmedabad, Dr. Rao is the founder president of the National HRD Network and has been in the forefront of HRD movement in the country. He worked as a short-term consultant at UNESCO Bangkok, at USAID Indonesia, UNIDO Malaysia, and the Commonwealth Secretariat at London, and as an HR consultant in India to more than 100 organizations in the public and the private sector.
Hello, is the voice audible?
Awards, including the Ravi Mathai Fellow, Asia Pacific HR Professor of the Year 2019, and Lifetime Achievement Award from the Academy of Management. He has authored over 60 books. Not everyone would know this, but Professor Rao started his career as a science graduate, and he did his B.Ed from Mysore University before shifting to his MA Psychology. In his own words, he is not an HRD professional, but he created HRD. We do look forward to have insights and learning lessons on developing the National HRD Network for Institution Building.
Login code is there, sir. Would you want a login code? 4533.
Please welcome Dr. T.V. Rao, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. I now welcome on board our next panelist, Ujjwal Butch, who is an ICF Master Coach, making him one of the top 20 within the country and the first in Gujarat. Ujjwal is a global executive and leadership coach, systems thinker, and change enabler. Loves experimenting with different coaching methods that includes family systems coaching, coaching for grassroots, and rural entrepreneurs. He has successfully blended theory U and coaching to manage the organizational change. Organizations consult him to take performance, productivity, engagement, and culture to an higher orbit. He is a big proponent of democratization of coaching. There are many ICF credential coaches who have the deepest regard and gratitude to have been coached, guided, and mentored by Ujjwal as a part of their coaching journey. Ujjwal is known for embedding his fun and humor in his interaction and makes the serious learning more light-hearted. And he attributes this to his 25 years of marriage life. I hope Ujjwal, your partner, is not on this conversation. Please welcome Ujjwal. And it's a pleasure to have you amidst us, Ujjwal. A very warm welcome. And I turn the session over to you now, Ujjwal.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And hi, everyone. Welcome to this conversation. Just wanted to check, Professor Rao, are you able to hear us? Hello, Dr. Rao. Okay. So while Dr. Rao is able to connect and able to hear me, I would request you to bear with us of some last minute technical glitch. We had tried, tested everything multiple times, but as we used to say, as luck would have it, here we say, as tech would have it, you may come across some situations like this. So I would request your patience. As coaches, we are expected to go into the unknown and deal with whatever emerges in front of us. So I think I have missed uh, Dr. Rao, and he should be back. So in the meantime, would you like to share your views if I ask you a question that do all institutions need coaching? So would you like to share your perspectives in the meantime? Professor Rao, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Professor Rao. So is that
Okay.
okay for
Why
us
don't we go
to?
ahead?
Yes, yes, Professor Rao. And I appreciate you joining us, and
Thank you.
wanted to wanted to open this conversation by checking with you that, sir, you have seen the rise of human resources development in India, and in fact, you are the one who has nurtured it with both hands. And in more than all of us present here, you are the one who knows the best and knows the most, and we are in gratitude for all your contributions and value additions to this sector in the past and also on ongoing basis. So wanted to check with you, sir, that uh, how what was your initial contact with coaching? Okay, and in those times, how did you feel that, how it was perceived by the industry and by the academicians at that time? What was the acceptance rate, etc.? So, and how do you see the present form of coaching today in institutions and otherwise? So over to you, sir. We are looking forward to your wisdom.
Yeah, actually, my first contact with coaching, it started with Uday Parikh and me doing integrated HRD systems in Larsen and Toubro, where we conceptualized feedback and counseling. The term we used was feedback and counseling as one of the six subsystems of HRD. Besides performance appraisal, potential appraisal, career planning and development, training and development, and OD,
Mhm.
we suggested that feedback and counseling should be an integral part of every line manager's work. In fact, the way we defined counseling in those days was maximizing, helping individual to maximize his potential to perform the current roles as well as prepare for the future roles and create a happy climate in the organization and so on. I think many things. I think it's not too different than what we talk of as coaching today.
Mhm.
That is the way we conceptualized. And we trained almost in the year 1975-76 about 120 senior managers in Larsen and Toubro in the coaching skills, counseling skills those days, we called them. And we considered feedback as the core of counseling. That is why we called it feedback and counseling skills. So, in fact, I think this is, we spent a lot of time, 3-4 years in L&T to stabilize this. Later on, when we extended this to other companies, other organizations, many people, I mean, we had to train people in counseling skills. And it's not unusual to hear in some of the organizations people joking about counseling. On the negative side, somebody says, look, this fellow has been giving a lot of trouble on the job. He's not doing his work. I called him for counseling and finished him off. Finished him off. That is a negative kind of connotation. So, counseling was, in some cases, treated as something to correct the individual. But this happened only in, let us say, 1 out of 10 cases. 9 people who have done a marvelous job of counseling to build the potential of people to maximize performance didn't speak the positive experiences. Now, if you look at from the time 19 mid 70s till now, I think we have come a long way. Thanks to, I think, the sports, what sports field has done, and thanks to, I think, federations like ICF. I think today coaching is accepted much more as a part of everyone's life. It is not only for performance and potential, it is for developing life skills and things like that. So I think we have moved in a great way. There are a lot of positive things that have happened in the last 10, 15 years. And thanks to, I think, promoting this as a good skill by ICF, I think we have come a long way. Our body of knowledge is growing, coaching mindset is getting developed. So I think many positive things have happened. So I'm so happy to see this. In fact, attending some of the sessions since day before yesterday, I feel quite excited of the wonderful job you chaps are doing. And I think the amount of work that is going on across the country. So I think we have come a long way, but fundamentals remain the same. I must mention that Uday Parikh and Denison Pereira and myself, all three of us, although I mean I started as a science graduate and moved on to education and then psychology, all three of us had strong base in psychology. So that is how the Rogerian thought or Maslow's need hierarchy, all these things I think even today remain the same. I don't think fundamentals have changed, but certainly our knowledge, the skill part of it has gone up, and I think it is very, very positively accepted as a life skill. That is what I see. I don't know if that makes sense, Vijayavan.
Absolutely, Professor Rao. And coming from you, we are waiting to see that, like NHRD, which you have set up with, and it's a great movement. So we would like to see that coaching also becomes that movement and accepted all across. And your blessings and your kind words would have a bigger impact. So thank you for that input, sir. I feel like asking your next question. So based on that, since we have come a long way, as you have rightly said, and coaching needs to become more of a mindset. So how do you see the role of coaching in holistic development of various institutions? So it could be a commercial institution, maybe a small, medium, or big enterprises, maybe academic institutions, or even what is the buzzword today, startups. So where and how do you see the role of coaching in developing these institutions?
Well, I'd like to bring in here the concepts which are very similar to coaching we have been using for long years, and basically based on the principles of coaching. These include organization development, change management, institution building, and self-renewal. In early 90s, when we wanted to do organization development with NGOs, we were told that NGOs don't like somehow the word organization development. So we created a new term, I mean, which is not a totally new term, promoting self-renewal in organizations. In fact, I think that is what this morning I was listening to a very interesting panel discussion in the social sector. Almost each one of them talked of the importance of renewal, although they use different terms and so on. So if you look at the life of anyone, whether it is a startup or an NGO or a government organization or a corporate sector well established, I think all organizations and institutions do require some form of change management. You call it self-renewal, you call it organization development. But certainly I would apply the term coaching because, sometimes these terms that are in currency indicate a body of knowledge which has got generated quite a bit. So I am very positive in terms of using coaching as a need for startups, coaching as a need for whatever stage you are in an organization or an institution. I think it is needed by everyone to look within. After all, what is coaching? Look within, discover your strong points, discover areas where you can improve, maximize your potential as an individual, as a team, as well as an organization. I think it is very relevant, and I think we have a long way to go in getting many institutions accept this particular thing, particularly schools, colleges, hospitals. NGOs, some of them seem to be doing a good job where the morning discussion is any indication. So my answer to you would be that everyone requires, and I think we need to create this kind of an awareness.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, sir. And I think this whole conclave and whatever the efforts that chapters are making, ICF chapters are creating sensitization and awareness of coaching. And yes, it's a great point that you have made. So, if I may uh, come from an institution to a person, according to you, you have developed so many leaders, and wanted to check with you that when one should seek coaching. So, if I may give a context, should one look at coaching as a remedial effort, or should one look at it proactively? And also, if in the same breath, if I may ask you, is it only for leadership? Because there is a myth that coaching is for big companies and top leaders and all of that. So, who should actually seek coaching? Anybody who needs it, or there is a specific archetypes that they should go for coaching? Proactive or remedial? Your precious views, sir.
I think the way we have defined counseling and nowadays coaching, these go far beyond problem solving. When
Haha.
you are faced with problems, that is fine. I mean, you certainly should need somebody to diagnose the problem and look for it. But the whole purpose of coaching is to help you to discover what your potential, and that is where proactivity comes into picture. I'll tell you a very interesting experience that we have had. Of course, I think I have had the great fortune of working with people like Mathai, who was the first full-time director of IIM Ahmedabad. 7 years after he completed his directorship, he thought that the institute needs new direction. So his way of setting it by was by starting a IIMA review committee. So he used an internal team to survey the perceptions of recruiters, perceptions of alumni, students, faculty, and the other competitors, collaborators, and so on, and then come up with future directions. This is one form, I think, which was called as a review committee. And we had a very interesting example of, I was in an informal conversation earlier, I was mentioning to you about Shomi Das, who was principal of Mayo College, Ajmer. Later, he became the headmaster of Lawrence School, Sanawa. Those days, public
Mhm.
schools were perceived as highly elitistic and not concerned about the larger society. So, one of the things Shomi used to do at Mayo College was to participate in rural development programs. I'm
Mhm.
sure some of you know Thilonia, SWRC Thilonia, Bankar Roy and Aruna Roy. They started the work, used to be very close to Mayo College. So he would go
Right.
and then participate in the work there. When he went as headmaster of Lawrence School, Sanavar, within 2 years, he found that he was doing a great job. He was being invited by Administrative Staff College to lecture and NCERT to participate in their innovations and so on. So, as he felt that it is too much of a success for him. It's a little unbelievable. So he contacted my colleague Ravi Mathai and asked him, Ravi, why don't you come? And I think I'm doing a great job, but I want you to tell me whether I'm really doing a great job. So Ravi went there, camped himself at Lawrence School, Sonavar for 3 4 days, talked to the faculty, teachers, observed the way the school was functioning. At the end of his 3 days visit, he mentioned to Shomi, you're doing a wonderful job. You're very right. I think people look at you with a lot of admiration. I think many things have improved. The school percentage marks have gone up and so on. But only one thing I noticed, and that is anytime I ask about something to be done, your faculty are notorious for saying, let me check that with Shomi Das. So that created your success created a dependence kind of a thing,
Mm.
and maybe you need to do something about it. That is where the leadership comes in. Shomi said, Ravi, then help me. Glad that you have. I was feeling uncomfortable, but I couldn't put my hands on what is the issue. So
Mm.
Uday Parikh, Ravi, and I went there, spent about 5 days, studied the school climate, interviewed the faculty, used a number of psychometric tests, and we created what we call a self-renewal laboratory, which is nothing but, I think, it is the institutional level coaching where all faculty were involved, and housemasters were involved, headmaster was involved, there were role negotiation exercises. I think we have had so many tools, and that
Mm.
resulted in a lot of change in the institution. And I must mention, 10 years later, Shomi Das went as the principal of Doon School. When he went as, by the time Ravi Mathai died, passed away, and Uday and I were around, he had a new problem. He felt that the younger faculty, younger teachers don't want change in the institution, whereas the older faculty wanted change to prepare students for get admission into IITs and All India Institute and things like that. So he had two groups warring with each other. So he invited us again. I mean, we again called it some kind of a lab. We didn't call it a coaching lab, but in essence, I think it was coaching, where we have to get them to think about common purpose and appreciate each other, empathize with each other, and come to some kind of a consensus. Now the issue is, Shomi Das is a very, very good leader. In the morning, some of the social sector people were talking about self-dispensing leadership. Shomi was all the time working for it. But how many leaders who are successful have this kind of a insight that I need to dispense myself, I need to
Yes.
empower the institution? And that is where I think coaching is required. I think you don't know when you need coaching. I think it's always a
Hmm.
good idea to get someone to look at you. And nowadays we have a lot of technology. We have climate surveys, we have employee engagement surveys, all kinds of things. These can be
Hmm.
used as great tools for initiating self-renewal and coaching practice. After all, what is it that we're talking of coaching? Discover and maximize your potential, both as an individual as well as an institution. So that is what I think. I don't know if that makes sense, Vijay.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. Every bit of it. And thank you for that. Sir, is that okay? I have two questions based on just what you have described
Yeah,
from Dr. Arvind Agarwal. Can I go ahead and ask you, sir?
sure, sure.
Okay. So,
Fire away.
yeah, yes. So one question from him is, because we are at it on this education institution and the example of Shomi Das you have mentioned. So I'm combining both the questions so that it will be easy for you also to respond in a combined manner. So one is that many managers Shomi Das, there are very few who won't shy away. Otherwise, many managers shy away from holding the feedback sessions for themselves, etc. So what is your recommendation? How do you make them ready? And secondly, how do you actually use educational institutions for a launch pad for coaching, or how they can be benefited, education institutions in particular, management institutions, etc., with coaching? So what's your ringside view on that, sir?
Well, I wish I have a answer for this. Actually, on the first day when I was listening to Shiv Kumar, I
Yeah.
asked him the same question, but I don't think he had the time to respond to this. That how do
Yeah.
you create this coaching kind of a mindset? I
Hmm.
think one of the things I would like to suggest is that it is high time that we should spread the positive messages of the benefits of coaching. There are a number of
Okay.
senior executives,
Hmm.
CEOs, and others who have gone through coaching experience and immensely got benefited out of this. I think many
Hmm.
people are shy of talking that, look, I had a coach and this is how I think it has helped me to discover things that I
Hmm.
have not. So I think one thing that is required is to create more and more of sharing of these positive experiences. Of like, I think this morning as I was listening to the interesting experiences narrated in the social sector, when
Yes.
Prabhakar was coordinating the session, it was very interesting to know the positive experiences that four of the organizations have had.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think this is one thing. I think one thing to talk about sharing positive kind of experiences and creating the mindset. Number two is I have no clear cut answer on this, but I would
Hmm.
like to suggest organizations to be a little cautious about uh, commercializing, over commercialization of coaching. Now, there is nothing wrong in commercialization. I think it is a good idea. I think somebody spends time and coaches you. I think that person should be compensated. There is absolutely no issue at all. But when organizations force people, pay for them and force them to just go into coaching kind of a relationship, I think it
Hmm.
creates a kind of a negative thing. So I think
Hmm.
rather than persuading, I think we should be persuading people, creating stories. I mean, it
Hmm.
is like what performance appraisal has done in organizations. When you
Hmm.
force people to do KRAs and other kind of things, they do it just to satisfy you, not out of inherent kind of an interest and so on. Uh,
Hmm.
but when you get people to understand the importance of KRAs and how KRAs and activity planning and time management helps them to become better versions of themselves, then you are totally in a different kind of a thing. I think we need a lot of social communication. We need a lot of sharing and
Hmm.
sharing of positive kind of stories and so on. I think it is important, therefore, do not over commercialize, get people to and build. I strongly believe that everyone should have the coaching skills. For example, I still remember in 70s, I'm sure Arvind himself will remember, some of the best sessions we have had in IIM Ahmedabad OB courses are the ones started with understanding the other person from his point of view. We used to have a case called Ashok Rajguru, which is even used today. That is how this particular person is constantly going through identity crisis when he went from Orissa and joined his PhD program and things like that, and how a coach helps him to unravel these things. And Pygmalion, in fact, I mean, I still remember McClelland when he visited IIM campus, he brought with him a very interesting tool called uh, non-verbal test of empathy. It contained a series of sliced conversations between people, and then you are supposed to listen to this and guess what is the feeling that was reflected. But I still remember I took the test, which is a 40-item test, and I was very surprised when I got 37 out of 40. If I take the test now, I don't think I will be as much empathetic. And in
Hmm.
fact, last night I was thinking that age and experience makes us less empathetic. It should be the other way. I think it should become more empathetic, but you never know. You know, you develop rigid. So what I'm saying is basically we need to develop the so-called coaching skills of listening, understanding, empathizing,
Hmm.
reflecting
Hmm.
in every individual. When you approach this, and that is why I go back to 75, when we said feedback and counseling is the job of every manager. Now I would
Hmm.
say it is the job of everyone, every parent. In fact, I
Wow.
think even children will have to learn to be coached and also to coach. In fact, I think children are sometimes best coaches for their parents because they have something, some technology that is available with them, which the parents may not have. Rather than saying, what do you know? I am a successful person. Don't tell me.
Hmm.
I know what is good for you. I think it is important to listen to them. And therefore, I think coaching skills are required for all. But in organizations, I think periodic coaching is something which organizations should promote. Don't overstress this, but create this kind of education, a psychological education. Everyone
Hmm.
needs to go through a OB kind of a series of sessions once in a while in their organizational life. I would recommend
Hmm.
once in 2 to 3 years, go through a self-renewal lab, create self-renewal opportunities.
Wow.
Vijayawal, I can
Wonderful.
go on and on. This is very close to my heart.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It speaks about your passion, your belief, and also your expertise. And I think all of us we have a rub-off effect from your side. Your passion has a rub-off effect, and also you mentioned about family as an institution, how parents, children need to get experience of coaching on either side. So I also wanted to check with you, and of course there are a series of questions that are flowing in, but if I may ask you alongside that, as you know, sir, that our world has changed in 2020 with one virus. It somehow, increased the speed of transformation more than ever before. So what all is changing around us and what all has changed? How do you see the role of coaches and coaching contributing to the society?
I number one, I mean, post-pandemic, we are already in a different world.
Yes.
Individual has become center of our attention. Also,
Hmm.
along with the individual, I mean, we tell people you take care of your health. You are the master of yourself. But you can't take care of yourself if your family doesn't support you, and therefore you have to take care of your family. You take care of yourself, your family, what happens to the society around? If all around is dirty, there are environmental issues and things of that kind, you're bound to get COVID attack. So therefore, you also have to be care for the society and so on. So institutions are great places where all this care can be taken. So this whole thing gets extended post-COVID. Caring for oneself, one's family, one's surroundings, one's organization becomes very critical. So I think if you look at this way, every health practitioner is a coach, should be a coach. Every teacher should be a coach. Every HR executive should be a coach. Every manager should be a coach. And the CEO should be the biggest coach. And when I say biggest coach, he has to become an invisible kind of a coach. He is the one who or she is the one who creates a lot of atmosphere for people to develop this learning kind of a mindset, self-discovery kind of a mindset, and so on. So I think we are in a changed world. This is a great opportunity. Today, I think the coaching skills should spread to everyone. If I were you in ICF, I would say ICF should start focusing now on schools and colleges and hospitals. And that is
Wow.
where I think a lot of coaching skills are required. And today we have a number of tools. You don't have to just go on start coaching in an individual way. You have 360-degree feedback. You have psychometric tests, assessment centers, whole lot of tools that are available. Of course, these were available, but these are available in much larger scale. Many more experts, a lot of coaches around. Thanks to I think the work done by you chaps in terms of providing coaching skills. So I think we should create a society, we can call it a coaching society maybe, where each one is a helper of a facilitator of learning for the other people.
Yeah,
That is what I see.
absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, sir. So on in the same flow, if I may ask you, that would you like to share that at that time when it was known as personnel and industrial relations, and you set up NHRD network, and today human resources has become a central nervous system of the organization. So how would you like to recommend 2 or 3 steps, maybe for ICF or chapters in India and abroad, because this conference is seen and heard globally? So how some of the success factors from NHRD experience you would like to share, that we can learn and perhaps do a copy paste?
Well, I think it's, I don't know how much you can really learn from this, but when we started HRD, we started it as a philosophy. It was value driven, but we have not promoted it as a philosophy and value driven, although we talked about it. We promoted it as a function.
Okay.
And when we promoted it as a function, soon we discovered the personnel also renamed it as HRD, training renamed it HRD. So the function and philosophy got diluted. That is the reason why we started National HRD Network, to promote HR philosophy across all sections of the society. That was the objective. But unfortunately, for long years, although from beginning itself we started focusing a little on NGOs and a little on the government, we have largely remained as a corporate sector driven kind of HR. But today, if you look at last 5 to 10 years, we are now talking about a lot more about HR as a spiritual function, HR as a philosophy, HR as value driven. In fact, I am saying HR is not merely the job of HR department. HR is the
Yeah.
job of everyone. Everyone should become his or her own HR manager. So I think we have come a long way where we are trying to
Yes.
promote HR as the job of everyone.
Hmm.
In coaching, we are starting maybe in a similar way. Coaches, the moment you say coaching business or coaching is of course, there is nothing, it's a right thing to say coaching is a contract, but it need not always be a contract in terms of material kind of a contract. Coaching, if we should look back, started as from the psychotherapy field as a mechanism of helping people solve their issues. But the way Rogers' 19 principles talked about to discover one's own self and things like that, It's only in 1995, I think ICF got started and started promoting coaching as a skill, isn't it?
Mm.
As a
Yeah.
mindset. And you have come a long way. I was going through the material that you have sent. The most important thing I like in ICF is I think you have defined the coaching values. When what you call as competencies are really values, wonderful kind of values that have been. I think this is an important lesson that if we have to learn from National HRD Network. I think we may be talking quite a bit at the philosophical level, but I think internalizing it is taking time. Internalizing,
Mm.
because I think there are too many forces. So, if one lesson I have to learn from National HRD Network, do not give up the philosophy. They should be champions of philosophy and values. And what you have outlined as competencies need to be coded into the minds of everyone. But I'm happy to see, listening to various talks. I mean, first I was very pleasantly surprised to see Shiv Kumar talking using coaching language. I've known him for quite
Yes.
some time, but I've rarely seen him talk coaching language because we used to interact on IIM Board of Governors for some time.
Mm.
But I'm so
Mm.
happy that he talked about it and he wrote this interesting book on the art of management and things like that. So, one lesson I want to draw once again is that to promote the values and do not over commercialize it. Build
Mm.
these coaching skills, because a number of people who are on your conclave may not have formally used coaches or may not have claimed themselves as coaches, but they are doing, I think they are practicing wonderful kind of things. So continue this good work which you have started. This conclave, I think, is a great eye opener. I think you should continue on these kind of, and this is one thing National HRD Network had done, that every conference I think is built on the previous one, and it
Mm.
took the HRD network a few steps. And most important thing I would recommend to you, document. Document. Nowadays documentation becomes difficult because people are losing the skill of writing, but doesn't matter. I
Mm.
think we have the videos. Even if these videos are available for a number of people, I'm so happy that you're making these available. So that is something which you need to do. So I think you are on the right path. You are doing well. Continue this and focus on the values.
Thank you. And on that, we are very happy to see you on the video, sir. So we have heard you, we have seen you, and it's great to be with you today. And I think I'm echoing on behalf of everyone here. So,
Yeah,
so
I'm
there is
really
a
sorry.
question.
The initial teething troubles. I mean, after all we tested, I think this can happen to anyone, as you rightly said.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So there is a question from Rajiv Padmanabhan, if I may ask you.
Yes.
He says that opposite of being reasonable with commercialization, would it be okay to work towards the democratization of coaching? And what may be the best way to do this to have a systemic impact on the whole society?
I think it is I mean, if you are meaning by democratization, making accessible to everyone, I would
Mhm,
strongly recommend that. Start with the
mm,
schools. Start coaching
mm,
lessons maybe from fourth and fifth standard. Why not? I mean, what is important to listen, reflect, discover. I think that is the age at which a lot of creativity uh, gets formed and later on gets killed. So I
mm,
think it's a good idea to start with schools from primary level, because the current day children are wonderful, and educate a lot of the parents. Educate
mm,
parents to be, I think, coaches, and also to be a coach means to listen to children, to learn
yes.
from them, and things
Mm,
like that. So I think that will be a great step if ICF can take eventually to democratize, make it accessible to all, because this knowledge is available, easily available. You only thing is you have to make a concerted effort to get everyone to understand the coaching skills. Particularly, I think we have a long way to go in making our government agencies amenable to coaching, because they don't listen. Several of
mm,
them,
mm,
because they see themselves as regulators. I think sometimes when you over regulate, I mean, you regulate, regulation is good for discipline, but when you all you don't need to understand, I think that becomes very important. I can tell you a very interesting story of I mean, maybe you can read this about Indrajit Khanna. when after he retired as chief secretary. When he was asked to go and teach in academy at Missouri, he wrote a very interesting case of a driver who is driving somebody from Jaipur to Delhi, Haryana roadways and Rajasthan roadways. I will not take which roadways is the one where he had a positive experience. A driver was utterly insensitive to a passenger who left his stuff somewhere in between and reached Delhi and wanted him to stop and get back his things. Whereas another driver was extremely sensitive. He not only stopped the car, but contacted the previous driver and so on. He never said, "This is not my job," and things like that. And that's a very, very interesting story that he narrated. Civil servants need to be highly empathetic. I think they need to have these coaching skills and so on. So I think that is the kind of a thing when you say democratization, it should become accessible to all. Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard you up to Haryana roadways, sir, and then I think we lost you. So would
Okay.
you mind
Now,
repeating?
I will share with you. It's a long story. It only says a civil servant needs to be empathetic and highly service driven, and sometimes without breaking the rules, you can be considerate and help people. And that is what his story. He wrote a very interesting case to educate the IAS probationers and so on. I mentioned this in my book on effective people. Very interesting kind of a story. If by chance you happen to see this, I start with Indrajit Khanna's thing. So all that I'm saying is government agencies require a hell of a lot of coaching skills, which means listening, appreciating, responding, and things like that. So I think that is a difficult sector. They are not likely to come to us, quite unlike the commercial sector. But I think that is where. But when you start in schools, I think the change may come. So that's a good
Yes,
question.
yes,
Democratization is very, very important.
yes, yes. And
I'm
also, I
sorry,
think
I have the habit of giving long answers. That's
no,
the
no,
profession.
absolutely. No, no, absolutely. Thank you for that, Dr. Rao. So I see that children will be benefited the most, the future generations, because on one side you recommended parents to be coach-like, and
Yes,
on the other side you are saying teachers using coaching approach in their teaching methodology, etc. So
absolutely.
that's wonderful. And I have a question from Anurag Mishra. He says that with the advent of AI, etc., I hope he meant AI with artificial intelligence, because even the Air India is now on the advent. So how do you see coaching evolve a couple of decades from now? And if I may add to his questions, many coaches ask me that will we be needed, because we are successfully humans, we successfully try to make humans more like machines, and we are busy making machines more like humans. So what do you see the role of technology on coaches and coaching and overall human interactions?
My one line answer to this is listen to Nadella, his recent videos. I think he demonstrates beautifully how empathy and AI go together. I think the more
Wow.
and more, I mean, all artificial intelligence and things like that are nothing but, I think, accumulated memory easily available for us. They certainly
Mhm.
help us in terms of knowledge, but empathy is more important in terms of managing anything. So I would strongly recommend that you listen to Nadella. He is, I think, one of the best teachers in the recent past I have come across. Heading Microsoft, talking about empathy and the way he brought about change and so on. So that answers the importance of coaching skills. I think technology is meant to make us more human, more listening, more creative, and things of that
Yes.
kind. It should be used
Yes.
that way. We should not
Hmm.
become pawns in the hands of technology. We should master technology to help each other and create a better society. So I think it has good linkages with coaching.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
the way I look at it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Rao, for that valuable input. And I mean, you are the one who is also known for pioneering 360-degree feedback and climate surveys in the organization. So Harish Pillai has a question that likewise, how do you assess the readiness of the organization to introduce coaching or to be coachable? Is there a way you would suggest that? How do we do that?
I have found both the tools. I have found many tools, but the 360-degree feedback is a great
Mhm.
tool that is available to get the leadership to start reflecting.
Huh.
But normally, when we do 360-degree feedback, we don't merely do 360-degree feedback at individual level. We also do some accompanying climate surveys. What do people
Hmm.
feel? Even in terms of the leader, we help the leader to understand his style, whether it is benevolent style, critical style, self-dispensing, or developmental style. And also, are you creating dependence climate in your team of 10 people who are working with you? Are you creating empowering climate and things like that? So use 360-degree feedback not merely to bring leadership or change, but even
Hmm.
if you don't use 360-degree feedback, I found climate surveys to be good tools. I must very
Hmm.
quickly tell you, although I'm very conscious of the time,
No
uh,
problem.
I must very quickly tell you, sometime in 1990s, there was a project called Project Impact, funded by World Bank, Government of India, Department of Electronics, and Swiss Agency for Development. They funded large number of engineering colleges and polytechnics to computerize and to enhance the electronics education in these colleges. And
Hmm.
almost per year they were giving to the tune of 5 crores per institution. At the end of it, it's a huge amount. About 30 institutions were involved. IIT Delhi was involved, IIT Bombay and Indian Institute of Science was involved. After 5 years of their work, they discovered some institutions have used the fund fully and wanted more, whereas a few institutions could not even use 20 to 30% of the fund. Now that was a waste. Therefore, they asked us to study what makes those institutions use funds, which means they are
Hmm.
innovative as contrasted with those who didn't use funds. We designed a 120 item institutional climate survey. We did a number of things, but to our surprise, we found institutions that used the funds had a lot more positive kind of a climate on about 20 to 25 different dimensions: learning
Wow.
climate, library, leadership, supervision, etc., etc., about 25 dimensions. So those who used funds were scored high on the climate, and those who could not use it scored low on this. You know what we
Hmm.
have done? MSS Varadan from Bangalore was involved in this. I think he taught all of them job, worked very closely with Indian Institute of Science and so on. We called these institutions, gave them feedback, and suggested to them to start looking at improving their climate and gave the
Hmm.
climate questionnaire. In fact, for the last 15, 20 years, I've been using this climate questionnaire and impressing on colleges to use this. So, using tools like this is a good
Hmm.
way to provoke institutions to
Hmm.
become more innovative, more, I think, in touch with the students and more effective in terms of using their own potential. Yesterday, I heard this very interesting comment in one of the talks. This was by Ashok Malhotra, who said
Hmm.
organizations are like organisms. So if you are an organism, you need to. An institution is also is an organism. Every organism requires renewal. Every organization requires coaching. So that is the way
Hmm.
I look at it. I think we have excellent tools that are available.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, these are only accessible to a few OB faculty and some of the
Yes.
HR faculty. I wish
Hmm.
all those who go through your coaching program also have a module on institutional coaching. Nowadays, you started team coaching, but I think you should
Yes.
graduate also to institutional coaching. When you help
Right.
an institution, you are helping a whole lot of other people. You're helping the faculty, you're helping administrative staff, you're helping students, you're helping alumni, you're helping industry. So
Hmm.
institutions are great strategic kind of interventions that you can make. Maybe you should develop a new stream in ICF.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for that strategic direction and setting the roadmap for us. Yes, and I think we will definitely grab that with both hands. So I have a question from L.S. Murthy on the same front. He says that mostly in the organization, organizational culture or even coaching culture, it is considered as a responsibility of mainly leadership, HR. It is concentrated with few people. So how do we ensure that organizations adopt the paradigm shifts that you are recommending?
I
So
think I
what do
would
we
only
need to
say,
do? Yeah,
education. Murthigaru, I think it is largely education. You have to keep on
education.
educating.
Hmm.
And what did just for on the lighter side, what did when the pandemic struck us? What did everyone do? What is the role? Let us say Prime Minister of India performed. Very interesting. He became HRD minister. Even today, he continues to be HRD minister
Yeah,
without
yeah,
portfolio. He is all the time,
yes,
I think, talking to people. He is addressing
yes,
children and so on. So
yes.
I think all CEOs should become canvassers. If not CEOs, all senior
Hmm.
executives. And why
Hmm.
senior executive? How about the youngsters? How
Hmm.
about youngsters who join? I think if you have a group of 30 graduate engineer trainees or management trainees who are coming up, is it
Yeah.
possible to inculcate in them a little bit of coaching sense and say that, look, I think please understand that you're also a coach to your seniors and learn this. I think this is the biggest skill that you can have, how to manage
Hmm.
your boss, how to coach your boss without he ever acknowledging that you're coaching him. I think that will be an interesting kind of thing. I think it is. I think that is the way to create culture. We have a long
Hmm.
way to go, Murthigaru, but I think we should somewhere begin. Organization
Begin.
should adopt this kind of a mindset that
Hmm.
coaching is something which each one of us as human beings require. I mean, coaching, I mean, you may use a different term. Coaching is, in fact, I just put up a video where I outlined 25 different meanings of coaching. Coaching means listening, understanding, responding, appreciating, and so
Right.
on and so forth. I think that is once you understand this, you are totally in a different kind of world. But we have a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Professor Rao. So I'm mindful of time, but we feel like listening to you for a number of hours. Thank you for that gracing all of us. Before Dave comes in with word of thanks, I have a quick two questions. If you are okay to take it, sir, is that okay? Yeah.
I am fine. Any number of questions.
Okay.
I can
Yes.
go on till the evening.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had one question, but in the interest of time, I'm not asking. Maybe I'll talk to you privately. That is it possible to coach your spouse? Because I have not been successful in doing so over the last 10 years. So, is it ever possible to do that? I'll ask you later.
I am all the time being coached by my wife. She, you got my answer. Yes. Are you? Have we lost each other? Ujjwal? Hi, hi, Dev. Have
Hi.
you
I
have you
think
got
I
my
think
answer?
I think we lost. I think we lost Ujjwal, sir. Uh,
I gave a one-line answer. I'm all the time being coached by my wife.
and he just went off. I told you right up front, right? He's a guy who loves to have fun, and this 25 years of wedding is what has made him what he is. And I'm sure he would love to come and speak to you more. And sir, I'm mindful of time. We would definitely love to have more, and I know you will go on and on. We can probably have the whole session, but I'm just being
Yeah.
mindful of time, and
Yes.
I'm just would like to have a quick short summary. Been just reflecting on all that you and Ujjwal spoke about. So when we started the conversation, we spoke about how we are planning to align the wisdom of the past and present, and how we can have a path ahead for the future. You spoke wonderfully about the change management, institution building, or even for OD for nonprofits that you explained. Talking within, focusing on self awareness, maximizing on potential, and you spoke about how there's a long way to go for us to get into make inroads into schools, colleges, hospitals. Everyone needs coaching, and we need to create this awareness. You also spoke about the coaching mindset, and you did talk about how we need to spread more awareness about the same. how a lot of people at a leadership level, at a CEO level, they need to kind of create more awareness and share their practices and the positive experiences. And in the current post-pandemic world, how we need to kind of have every teacher, every doctor, every manager, HR, CEO who can be a coach and demonstrate a learning mindset. In simple words, you spoke about how we can create a coaching society where each of us can be a facilitator of learning for other people, and how technology can make us more human, sir. So as we had spoken, the whole focus of the conclave is on making coaching visible, comprehensible, and accessible, and have coaching for all. So that's the core focus which we are attempting to do, sir, from our side, and all the support that we would like to have from all of you would go a long way in creating this awareness. And yes, maybe as usual has also come back, maybe focus on spouse coaching can also be one one new area beyond focusing on institutional coaching. So I would like to thank you so much, sir. We would love to go on and on. I would like
Thank
to
you.
thank all of you for this time that we have. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank
Professor
you. Thank you
Rao.
very much
Thank
for
you,
giving me
Dev.
Thank you
this
so much, sir.
opportunity to share my
Most,
thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
most welcome, sir. Thank you.